A room with a view of the whole city. Fashion luxury, that's what he's got pretty.
Anyone who thinks Hamburg Airport is the worst airport in Germany is mistaken, because there is always a surprise. It can always get worse. We can then say that it is more like a train station hall. Yes, I visited Cologne Bonn Airport, flew from there, looked at various things, and I have also prepared a second video regarding security. You should check that out too. Cologne Bonn Security by Securitas, my goodness. But now I want to talk about this Cologne Airport because many of you have said, Horn, please go to Cologne Airport. Because if you have already experienced dramatic conditions at Hamburg Airport, then you will experience even more dramatic conditions at Cologne Bonn Airport. And I thought it couldn't get any worse. But it has gotten worse. It was the worst I have experienced in a long time at Cologne Bonn Airport. Really. I mean, these stories there. I can't even believe that all of this is possible. How do they actually manage that? I mean, nothing is being done anymore. First of all, they have this Cologne Bonn Airport, which was really quite charming. That was a really nice, small, cozy airport. Yes, you just went in and there was this way and that way, and that was it. There was also a lounge. But what they have made out of it now, I believe, at some point someone started building and then they got carried away with construction, putting one terminal and one thing after another, building cross connections and bridges, and they wanted to create a life thing because you can really walk yourself to death at this airport, which is basically a small airport, but you can walk endlessly. You walk and walk and walk and walk, and you never really arrive. And at some point, you go through the security zone, and then you're back inside, and then you start walking again. So once you get through this security, you walk over to the right corner and back there again, and yes, somewhere there is also a thing called the lounge. There is also a review that I made, and it's worth seeing because it can still get worse than Frosthanser. I didn't think it could get worse than Frosthanser. And there's also peyote from that side. Both fit together. This Cologne Bonn Airport is just a completely built-up something. Who is actually responsible for this? Honestly, who is responsible for such construction measures? They were all amateurs. So people who have no idea about architecture and especially about planning and what we customers expect, right? When I arrived, if you come back with the rental car, you come out from the top and then you walk over to the budget R area. And now I slowly understand why people from all over the world are brought to Germany, because it generates revenue. I'm slowly getting it really. I've thought about it for a long time and still don't understand why so many people are actually being brought in. And then they are supported here by tax money, but they don't need to work, right? And then I always thought, well, it's logical. Those who want to travel also bring in revenue. This means that there has been a clever industrial thought process here. The citizens who pay taxes fund the construction of airports, and then we bring in people from all over the world to Germany. And since the Germans are no longer traveling as much because of the Greens, as it is considered environmentally harmful, it is of course the people we are bringing here, these 3, 4, 5 million who don't care about the environment. For them, it's uninteresting. Instead, they are getting tax money and can travel again with this tax money. 2001, that's just genius. Yes. I find that really well thought out. You really notice it at an airport? That means I could determine and understand that they took some airport, Cologne Bonn, and completely trimmed it down to be cheap, saying that they would make a low-cost airport out of it because the flights are a maximum of $150, which these people can still afford. And then they practically come here, arriving at the airport in moderation. I could see that, there were really a lot of international passengers, and they were flying with low-cost airlines. Yes, exactly. Main destinations. I would say Istanbul, Antalya, then the next thing was something in Tunisia. And then there was also something down in Syria and Iraq. So that's where they mainly fly to. Egypt was also included. So from that perspective, there is really, I would say, revenue. And this is, in terms of inflation, also an increase for probably this Cologne region. So investments have been made in this airport. So yes, because I honestly can't understand it any other way, I don't get why this airport even exists. Because Düsseldorf is nearby and there is also Münster. Well, in the end, Frankfurt is also very close. And we still have Hahn too. It's actually nonsense why we have so many airports in such a small country like Germany. And above all, they are always expanding everything and putting money into it, and we have to pay for all of it. But that's why it was interesting. I have understood that now. I now know why so much money is invested in these airports, and then even more money is invested to attract people who then depart from this airport. Because, to be honest, I didn't see many true locals from Cologne, like the real Kölner from earlier times. Well, I really saw very few people. When you walk through all that cheap stuff up front, you then come out at Eurowings and Frusthansa, and there were a few more people there. Yeah, And then in the end, going through security is a nightmare. And when you have gone through security and made it through, everything inside was a mess. Just a mess of something. Big advertisements from DHL and other things. But in the end, the employees who work there are all temporary staff. There is no permanent staff left. For example, I really haven't seen a single person from the permanent staff at this entire airport. These are all people I wonder, where do they actually come from? Where do they come from? Those who work here now. They are always brought in on a case-by-case basis and then deployed. That is the personal impression. Once you are in the lounge area, there is only one lounge, the lounge, and it is filled with Spaniards. So only Spaniards work there, and they all spoke Spanish. They might also come from Mexico. You never know. Baerbock is bringing people in from everywhere. So come in. It's cheap, affordable. Yes, Cologne Bonn Airport. I can't think of anything else, really, and it was frightening. I thought Hamburg is already like the end of the airport era. Hamburg Airport is a brilliant first-class super luxury airport compared to Cologne Bonn Airport. Cologne is really absolutely the worst place you can have as an airport. I really haven't experienced anything worse in a long time. Maybe Manchester, yes, but that has nothing to do with Germany. Manchester would be another nightmare. And then there are places like Birmingham and such. They are also terrible. So everything is off, like Priority Pass. But here at Cologne Bonn Airport in Germany, it is an underground, cramped, completely built up, ugly, and unpleasant airport. I have to say, never, ever. Cologne Bonn Airport.
Above the clouds, the Hun flies, and our destination brings joy to his eyes. He knows the